All right. Good morning, everybody. Wow, it is very, very peaceful here at the ocean this morning. The ocean is very, very calm. The waves sound awesome. You got the sun rising to my left. Unfortunately, um, that sunrise is going bye bye. The people that have been with me for months, they know that that sun was coming up pretty much in the middle of this video, and it's slowly but surely moving out of sight. In another, I would say month, it doesn't even come up over the ocean, unfortunately. And then we're going to have to figure out something new for the morning live stream. With that, we say good morning to Vincent Scaramuzzo and Stephen Toohey and Rachel from Minnesota and Facebook user. Once again, that scares me. He says good morning from Richmond. Daniel Connolly and Vincent Scaramuzzo and Vivek Sharma and Debbie. Hey, Debbie, all the way up there in Boston. Who else we got? Milt Miranda. Good morning and welcome to Rock Scream Friday. Jesus. There's an old school O&A fan. Good morning, Opie and Squad from Brian Bernard, one of the big contributors of the live stream, which I greatly appreciate. Your stars help make this possible. All right, I'll shut up about that. What's up, Benjamin Tucker? I hope you saw the latest episode of the Opie Radio podcast, Benjamin Tucker. I put Benjamin Tucker in the title. Yes, I did. That's how much Benjamin Tucker and a bunch of you guys mean to me. And I'm trying to give back every way I can. So the title of the latest episode of the Opie Radio podcast is Jim Norton Saved the Opie and Anthony Show / Thank you, Benjamin Tucker. So for real, man, thanks to Benjamin Tucker and everybody else that throws me stars on a regular basis. Also, just for a second, I want to say good morning to the Instagrammers, slowly but surely moving them to the table. Today, they have a little better shot of the sun coming up over the ocean, and their audio is a little better. As the days go on, don't worry, I'll bring you all the way to the table, Instagram. But I still got to focus on my Facebook people. They've been with me for a couple of years now, and Instagram has that badges program. So if you want to throw me some badges on the Instagram to help keep this live stream going, I'd appreciate it. If not, that's okay too. I'm not pressuring anyone to do it. Anything. This is a free live stream. And I definitely have enough supporters that help out with the costs. So there you go. What's up, Pat Duffy? Good morning, my brother. So what is everyone pissed off at this morning? Bringing back a little old school action. The FU Friday. Your chance to Starfuckers, Neil Hayden. You're one of them, Neil. Neil gives a lot of stars. Neil's way up there in the leaderboard. You've given me a lot of stars, Neil. Why are you making fun of yourself? There you go. Oh, look at Benjamin Tucker. Wait, is he sad or happy? He's got some weird emojis happening right now. There's snow in Virginia. All right. Opie, did you hear about that shooting in Pennsylvania recently? Jason West, JW. I hate when people are exposed. Like JW is exposed this morning. That question means you're a little behind on the Opie Radio podcast. Me and Judd Jones discussed that a couple episodes back. It was fucking horrific. You're talking about the neighbor that was being yelled at after a snowstorm, that whole thing? Yeah, we broke that thing down. That video was horrifying. I'm pissed they waited until after the Super Bowl to shit all over Bruce Springsteen when he got busted in November. Pat Duffy, bravo. It's all bullshit. We know that. You know, they make Bruce Springsteen look like an American hero. I'm sure he probably filmed that Super Bowl commercial maybe even before his DWI. And then he gets the DWI and everyone's begging, please, let's not tell the world that good old Bruce Springsteen got caught for DWI, because it's very suspicious that a couple days after that commercial ran, because I bet you they put a lot of money into that Super Bowl commercial with Bruce Springsteen. But yeah, I'm kind of pissed off at that as well, my brother. But you know, it's all garbage. It's all bullshit. No one tells the truth anymore. Everyone is part of a tribe, just digging in and fighting for their tribe. No one could ever admit they're wrong. I don't know what that has to do with the DWI, but it was just in my head. Sorry. Sorry about that. Daniel Bornkamp, it looks like. Yeah, I live 30 minutes north of the shoveling shooting. God, that was brutal. Dude, so wait, Pat Duffy. So the Brady thing, dude had a shot of tequila that a fan. Oh, this is the Springsteen thing, right? Dude had a shot of tequila that a fan bought him while sitting in his bike. I don't know about that. Because when a big celebrity like that everyone respects, man, I should get my buddy Buzzy down there in Atlanta to pipe in on the Bruce Springsteen thing. He's literally the biggest Bruce Springsteen fan in the world. I would put him up against anybody. He's gone to hundreds and hundreds of Springsteen shows. That's his number one. I should get him on. Maybe I'll get him on like over the weekend or maybe early next week. So he did some tequila shots with fans, and police saw him. He blew a .02, Sarah says, up there in Buffalo. Yeah, so they try to downplay, like he had no idea. He did one shot with the fans, and that was it. Nah, man, I bet you he was just partying his ass off. He's a man like you and me. Or I should say, he's a human like you and me. So, God, that sun is just glorious on this Friday. Good morning, everybody, Kim Barnum says. Good morning. I love Bruce. Pat Duffy says, my dad raised me on him. His politics are fucked up, but I'll defend him to the death. Springsteen blowing only two of the guys aren't happy. What? John from Virginia. What do you do with that comment, John? What? What? What the hell, man? So anyway, oh my God, I just looked over at Instagram. I might have to give them attention. I've made $3.49 to live stream this morning, but that sun is absolutely perfect. And anyone else notice anything different today? Who's got it? Not you, Instagram. Not you. Who's got it? There's something very, very different right now. Don't worry, the dog is here. He's to my right, just he's eating my hammock that he ripped through the thick nylon cords yesterday, and now he's decided to try to devour the whole hammock. So he's there. He's always with me. It's part of his morning routine to follow me up here to do the live stream. Daniel Connolly, you're not eating crackers. Well, that was the audio problem. I mean, if I'm going to take on Joe Rogan, I gotta figure some stuff out. So yes, I'm not eating crackers anymore. You're right. Jason Loeb's got it. Stability. I have an iPad stand. Breaking news. I am hands-free. I don't know what to do with my hands right now. Yes, it's an iPad stand. I finally decided, you know what? Maybe I should pump up my shit. I got a microphone. That came with the iPad stand because I picked out a mic. Thanks to Mason, who's helping me out a little bit. And the microphone's still in the box. So maybe Monday I'll have another announcement, or you will know, because the audio will actually sound professional or way closer to professional than this. Yeah, I'm still rocking the morning wood. Absolutely, Rachel. Thank you. Thank you for that comment. I appreciate it. Dude, the Joe Rogan stuff is killing me, Adam Hanley. Why is that killing you, Adam? I actually, whatever. If I mentioned Joe Rogan a few times, and boy, did that trigger some people. I mean, if Joe Rogan admits that me and Anthony were an inspiration for what he does today, then why wouldn't I think that I could actually have a better podcast than Joe Rogan? There was a time I was coming up in radio and I said, I'm going to be better than Howard Stern. And I think there was probably a year, maybe 2 years in there then that we were absolutely bigger than Howard Stern. We couldn't hold on to it. And I believe we were bigger. If we weren't, we certainly were nipping at his heels. So why wouldn't I think I could do it again? Why? Why? High-tech shit, Neil Hayton says. Thank you. I think your star money officially bought the iPad stand and the microphone that I will eventually plug in. And I got a desk. I can't show you the desk because I don't want to touch anything right now because everything's working pretty well. So I'd rather just keep it as is. I listen to you more than Rogan, honestly, Neil Hayton. Of course, I thank you. I appreciate that. I think, well, whatever. But whatever. I don't feel like dealing with the stupid haters right now. Got to take a break from those lunatics. That afternoon show is better than Howard. I think so. But, Howard's still doing it and still making stupid money. And I get excited if you throw me $10 on the live stream. So, So who won in the end there? Starseed. So anyone got any FUs? What happened to you this week? Anything? Jeffrey Geis. I listen to Rogan on TikTok 15 seconds at a time. That's really nice. Stern is the Yankees. One were the Mets. They had some better years, but in the end, people will always go with the Yankees. Thanks, Pat Duffy. Pat, you were part of the O&A show. Why would you come up with that? You're not necessarily wrong, but the coffee's good too. It is freezing out here, by the way. It's got to be. I bet you it's like 18 degrees out there, if I had to guess. So, good morning, Charles Serrata. Welcome. Michael Soul, not a Rogan fan, but what makes his show is the guests. If you get the kind of folks, or at least people as popular as his guests are, there is no doubt you would take him over. Oh my goodness. Thank you, sir. No, I'll give Rogan his props. He saw a niche. Well, it's a giant niche, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying that Rogan has a bad podcast. Of course not. I haven't listened to it in a few years. I couldn't invest the time to be an actual Rogan fan because there's way too many podcasts and they're really long. And I don't know. I think there's a lot of people, when you have a bunch of podcasts you want to listen to, if you see one that's like 3 hours long, you start panicking. You're like, I have to somehow digest 3 hours of content right now. And then you'll see other podcasts from people, I don't know, whether it's Bill Burr or Bobby Lee or Krista Stefano, and they're shorter episodes. And then I'll start gravitating toward the shorter episodes because I feel like I could digest them. I personally started making my episodes shorter. I'm trying to keep them under an hour. The latest one is pushing an hour, but I had a lot to say. A lot of old O&A stuff was discussed on the latest episode. So, doubt you could smoke that much weed either, Jeffrey Guy says. Oh, God, no. I mean, I credit Joe Rogan, though, for getting me back into the pot, as the kids say, the pot. Actually, they don't say that. But, I went out to L.A. This is what's so fucked up about, whatever. Now you're going to get me going. This is what's so fucked up about the entertainment business. So I'm still on a massive radio show, massive, with a huge influence. I fly out to L.A. to do a TV show, and I Instagram. I think it was an Instagram post where I posted a picture that I landed in L.A. My phone, that picture wasn't even up for a minute, and Rogan is texting me like, "You have to do my podcast." And then fast forward a bunch of years, nothing really changed in our relationship, I don't think. And I'm starting out the podcast, and he's in New York City. So I do the same thing. I find out he's in New York City, so I text him to do my podcast. And I certainly could have used the help back then, especially. And I didn't even get a response. That's just how this shit works. It drives me insane. But whatever. What are you going to do? Quickly, Judd Jones is joining. Awesome. Judd, let me get Judd on in a second. But I want to say that I just got the link to the Patrice O'Neal documentary that's going to be on Comedy Central. I think, help me out, February 19th, I think. And I saw the first 5 minutes, and the thing is unbelievable. I mean, look, I only clicked on 5 minutes because I had stuff going on in my house. But tonight I'm going to sit down and watch the whole thing. I got an advanced link, and so far what I saw between the trailer and the first, maybe it was more than 5 minutes, like 5 to 7 minutes. I think people are going to absolutely love this documentary, and I think I'm going to get the filmmaker Mike, I forget how to say his last name, on the live stream, hopefully early next week to promote the thing. But and a lot of people are asking, are you part of it? I sat down for wait a minute, this dog here, have a treat. Very casual here, Instagram. So relax for a second. Everybody knows every once in a while I got to give the dog a treat. Here, go over there though. But a lot of people asked, "Are you part of the Patrice O'Neal documentary?" I sat down for over an hour, but man, after watching the first 7 minutes, they are squeezing a lot of people, a lot of comics, especially into this. Oh my God, he came back already. Dude, I got to do this now. I got to do this now. Go. That's it. Go. So even though I talked to them for an hour, I think I'd be surprised if I'm in this thing for 2 minutes. I hope I'm in it just to represent. I know I did some pretty good things, and I know they got me to cry on film. They tugged at my stupid heartstrings. And I also, they also asked for a couple of my videos for the documentary. So I'll let you know Monday if I'm in the thing, because I'll know tonight. Sip of coffee. Let's say hi to Judd Jones. Hey, Judd.
All right, boy. How are you?
Well, what the fuck, dude? I added you to the live stream, and you knocked out my sunrise. So you better have some good material, because now you're competing with a wonderful sunrise here at the ocean.
Oh, good material. How about fuck Bruce Springsteen? What do you think about that?
Why are you saying that?
No, I don't know.
Pat Duffy, I didn't even think about this, but Pat Duffy came up with a good observation that this thing came out after the Super Bowl commercial. Like they had this information and they were carefully trying to figure out when they could actually put it out there, because he has great publicists, obviously, because it happened in November. I mean, if you got a DWI in November, you'd be in the local rag like the next day. They wouldn't be able to hold that info back for 3 months. You don't have those type of people around you.
Well, especially down here, there's the local paper puts everybody's picture who was arrested on their website.
Really?
So everybody. It's like a whole chorus of people every day. It's usually a lot of the same people.
Yeah.
That's how it would be. But no, man, with Bruce Springsteen, though, I mean, well, first of all, I find it kind of ironic that, Mr. Unity Jeep commercial, listen to what Bruce says a lot of times. He's not very unifying. I mean,
right.
Wait,
can I interrupt you for a second? Because I'm also on Instagram Live. This is where it sucks to be you, Instagram Live, because the app I'm using, everyone on my Facebook page, Opie Radio fans, they could hear Judd Jones perfectly. You guys aren't going to be able to hear Judd, I just realized. So maybe I should turn you off today. Should I turn off the Instagrammers?
Good Lord. You asking me?
Yeah.
Well, fuck, I don't know. If you can't, I mean, get your audio working, man. What's going on? People want to hear it.
No. Instagram's on my phone, and then everybody else is on the app. So if I have a guest like yourself, they can hear it crystal clear. So now I got to figure out how to put the Instagram on the app. But I only paid for the lower level on the app, so I can only stream to 3 places right now, and Instagram didn't make the top 3.
Everybody, please send Opie some more stars so he can upgrade his app, please.
Yeah, I'm got Instagram. If you want to continue with me, go to my Facebook page, Opie Radio fans. Bye. Have a good weekend. They're done. Because know what's going to happen. Then they're going to bitch, listen to this audio. Even though I just explained what is happening.
Right.
All right, now we can focus on you. Oh, they're going to be pissed. I just knocked them out in the middle of a... Anyway, go ahead. So, Bruce Springsteen.
No. I mean, look, I'm kind of joking. I will say that, I mean, I saw Springsteen twice in Houston. And like one of the best concerts ever. A lot of bang for your buck. He played forever. I mean, still when Clarence Clemens was there. And so, I mean, it was fantastic. But yeah, Bruce is not necessarily the most unifying person nowadays. I mean, he can say that all he wants in a commercial.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, getting busted for DWI, yeah, it's suspicious. It comes out afterwards, but it's the world we live in, dude. That's how
Right.
things work. You know,
Right.
I mean, they're going to drag stuff up, and you know, I don't know. I do find it kind of interesting though that someone like him, you know, is getting this treatment because you don't see that's almost showing like an equal playing field now. If you got people from both, I guess, political perspectives who are, you know, getting busted for stuff like this, but you know, at least he's not in the Mandalorian, right?
No. Oh, with Gina, what's her name? She was on the radio show once, and
Carano, yeah.
Carano. She was. I remember her being very, very cool on the radio. I remember her being hot as all hell. Jesus.
Yeah, I mean,
But man, she didn't let any of those views known when she did our radio show a few years back. Probably at this point, like 6 or 7 years back. But
right.
she's a fan of the Nazis, huh? Is that what they're getting?
I don't know, man. I mean, you know, I read that thing that she reposted, and the premise of it was it's like a famous picture of a woman in Germany, Nazi Germany, a Jewish woman who's kind of stripped down and looks beaten up, and she's being chased by, you know, kids and regular people. And
Yeah.
the whole premise of that thing was that, you know, it didn't start off that the Nazis were rounding everybody up. They were getting their neighbors to turn on them and expose who they are, and then the Nazis would come. And she compared that to the political discord. Now, I mean, the way it was framed, you know, in the media is a little rough, but you know you're going to get in trouble for posting shit like that. Like, I mean, you can't. If she was Jewish, I mean, she'd be fine. But I'm guessing she's not Jewish. Carano, I guess she's an Italian broad. But I mean, yeah, you're gonna, you know, get taken to the carpet every time you start putting shit out there like that. But you know, I don't know, man. I'm just thinking to myself, like, you know, look, I'm not a very political person. I could give a shit less. I got other things to focus on. But I mean, if you're on a show and you're like a known person now, I mean, do you really feel the need to get your political speech out there, especially in this climate? Rolling the dice.
I mean, you're bringing up a lot of great points. I want to say about Gina, I think it's despicable what she had to say.
It's absurd.
Yeah. I think if you're a human being, you realize it's kind of despicable and a little too far to make her point that she's being censored, I guess, or whatever the fuck. Mm-hmm. But, and this is the big but, I don't like people getting canceled for shit.
Well, I don't sit back, buddy. Sit back and enjoy, because it's a lot of that happening.
I mean, it's here to stay. But then what happens is you're canceling all these people, and then the only people that are going to have a true voice are the more powerful ones. You know what I mean? Well, if you got a lot of heat. Oh man, I want to say something. I got to be very careful. Well, there's a big podcaster that has a lot of heat that has said some crazy ass things on his podcast, but he ain't going to get canceled because he's got a lot of power and makes a lot of money for a company. But then if you're someone like Gina, you know, they could throw you to the wolves because you don't have as much power. So if the cancel culture continues, I think what you're going to see is only the most powerful people will have an actual voice in America. That's why I'm bothered by this no matter what. Although, once again, what she said, I think, is despicable.
Yeah, completely. I mean, to me, you know, canceling some. I mean, I even go as far as, you know, the canceling of Trump. And, you know, I mean, there's all sorts of people that are getting canceled now, and like a lot of his followers. But don't we want to know what they're up to? Like, why are we canceling them? Like, you put them, you know, put them off in the woods somewhere, then they're still, you know, trying to, you know, spew their bullshit or get crazy or, you know, take up fucking arms or something. Don't you? I kind of want to know what they're doing. Like,
of course.
I don't think we need to just close them off altogether. You know,
of course, 100%. And the funny thing, going back to the Bruce Springsteen thing, is that what I learned from that Super Bowl commercial, I guess if we all just buy Jeeps, the country will finally come together, right?
Well, I guess it's less of a chance to get busted for a DWI than a motorcycle. I don't know.
and I used to drive a Jeep, so I was right there.
Yeah, me
I
too.
was ready to unify with the rest of my fellow Americans, and then I decided to move on to another make and model. So maybe I have to go back to the Jeep, and then we could all get along.
Oh yeah, Jeep is going to cure everything. That's what it is.
Yeah.
They're going to get everything worked out. Yeah.
Who
No,
cares? I'm so bored with what celebrities say. Yeah, I don't give a fuck what celebrities say. I don't really care. I just get mad when one of these people get canceled and then they have to take away all their content.
Yeah.
And it goes all the way back to I don't know where it began at this point. Maybe someone could help me in the comments in the chat room. But Pee Wee Herman's a great example. I love that stupid Pee Wee's Playhouse.
Sure.
And then, he goes into a porn theater to whack off. He's not hurting anybody in a porn theater. I think that's what you're supposed to do in a porn theater, right?
Never been to one. I don't know. I'm guessing so. I'm sure there's plenty of patrons who go that route.
Well, I got a lame porn theater story, but so he goes into a porn theater. He's not hurting anybody. He's a human being. He decides he's going to rub one out, gets caught, and then he gets destroyed in the media, and then everyone's like, well, now you can never watch Pee Wee's Playhouse anymore. I hate that.
Right. Well, I mean,
why can't you separate the two?
Well, look at that crime. Imagine if that happened today. Who would give a fuck?
No.
Who would give a fuck? What can we cancel him? Yeah, for what? Oh, he jacked off in a porn theater. Oh, yeah. Well, fuck, really? What else you got?
Right.
Like,
I think Bill Cosby's a dirtbag, a creep.
Sure.
Despicable.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. I was never a fan of the Bill Cosby show, but I think that show did a lot of good for a lot of people, including Black culture. And because all this stuff comes out about Bill Cosby, you got to throw him in front of the wolves, and then you got to take away everything he ever did on TV and film. It's like we got to be able to separate the two.
Right.
I mean, if I was a fan of the Bill Cosby show, I'd be really, really pissed off because I would be like, what's the difference between the two things, really?
Well, what do you mean between Pee Wee Herman and Bill Cosby?
No, Bill Cosby, what he did in his private life, and the great TV show he that he produced. Why can't you still watch the Bill Cosby show? No one is able to explain that.
Yeah, that is kind of a weird thing, and especially on the comedy side. Like, I mean, Bill Cosby was he was the storytelling comedian. I mean,
right.
Like arguably nobody could do it better. I actually saw Cosby when I lived in Austin, and he played. It was like a theater that was on the University of Texas campus. This is probably just like, I don't know, like 10, 12 years ago. And dude sat there and did 3 hours of jokes and storytelling. And it was in the afternoon too. It wasn't even a nighttime thing. And every bit of it was fantastic.
Of course.
Fantastic. I mean, I'm sitting there. I hadn't even, gotten into comedy yet.
Right.
I remember timing some of his bits just out of curiosity. And he had one story. I don't know. It was some story about how he used to be able to do a jump up from his back to his feet when he was a kid, and he had a whole story about trying to do that when he got older.
Yeah,
and it was funny all the way through. I think it was like 25 minutes.
Right.
Just that story. So, like, arguably, he's the best storytelling comedian ever.
Yeah.
But don't talk about that now.
Oh,
I mean, you can't talk about that now because he liked to drug women. So,
well, Rachel says it. Call me crazy, but drugging and raping over the years is different than jerking off in a theater. 100%.
Oh yeah,
I got to make my point clear here.
That's what I thought you were going to.
No, yeah. I think Bill Cosby should spend the rest of his life in jail, but I also think that you can't cancel all his material. Let that be up to me if I want to still watch his TV show or watch one of those terrible movies he made, or listen to an old comedy album of his. But soon as you do wrong in society, then everything you ever did, they try to erase history. That's my whole point, and I find that really, really strange. And going back to Bill Cosby, when I was growing up in my parents' house and I was discovering comedy, Bill Cosby was one of the guys early on that I really liked listening to, and I did pick up a lot of his. Well, they were albums back then, and his storytelling, like you mentioned, was second to none back then.
Yeah.
I remember a bit he did on just skiing that was like, I think, like 30 or 40 minutes long, just breaking down going skiing. And not only was it great storytelling, it was just absolutely hilarious for the time. I don't know if it holds up anymore.
Right.
And then I discovered Cheech and Chong and George Carlin, and then I kind of tapped out of the Bill Cosby. But very, very early on, I thought he was fucking brilliant.
Oh yeah, no, there was, again, arguably one of the best storytellers out there. I tell you what, just to throw out there a comedian who's a friend of mine from Houston, this guy named Ali Sadiq. He is probably the best storytelling comedian out there. Like,
Yeah.
I would say bar none. So I suggest people check him out. I think he was on one of those comedy shows, like the contest or some shit, one of the more recent ones. I think he was on there and he went pretty far.
Yeah.
But he's the guy who, this dude served like 6 years for, I think, cocaine when he was in his early 20s. Started kind of with comedy inside prison, got out, and that's what he does as a full-time job. I mean, he makes a good living at doing that. He travels all over the country.
Yeah.
But when I first started, Ali had a room called Dialos that was deep in the hood in Houston. And it was like an open mic thing, but it was Ali's show. Like, everybody showed up on Tuesday nights because it was Ali's show.
Yeah.
And I got the nerve up after a while. I was like, screw it. I'm going to go over there and check it out. And man, I started going over there. I probably went there like 5 or 6 times. And I mean, it's deep hood. Like, everyone's looking at me. I'm the only white dude in the whole place. And man, it was fantastic. It was so good, because talk about brutal honesty in comedy. Like, you can't, in a black room, at least in Houston, you can't get away with anything. Like, you got to be funny when you show up there. I remember this like the second time I was there, this dude went up before me, and you never knew when you were going to go up. Ali would just say, he would look around and see which comedians, and he'd look at you, and then he'd go, all right, next comedian. One time he introduced me, he looked at me and he introduced me. He goes, all right, this next comedian coming up, I know y'all seen him already because he's the only white motherfucker in here, Judge Jones. And that's how he introduced me. But this one time this young dude went up before me, and Ali was wearing like it was like a camouflage vest kind of thing or something.
Yeah.
And this dude went up there, black dude, young guy, and he starts shitting on what Ali's wearing. And I'm thinking to I just started in comedy, and I'm thinking to myself, even I know, this is his room. Don't shit on him. Yeah. They're going to turn on you.
Yeah.
And like, this dude's trying to crack jokes. He's trying to improvise it from the beginning, which is a mistake in and of itself. And he lost them completely. And they started kind of talking amongst themselves. I'm sitting there like, fuck, I'm up next. And then it got so bad at one point, some dude in the back goes, "You ain't funny, motherfucker." Like that.
Wow.
Oh, and then people laughed at that. And then you wouldn't know how much time you were doing on his show, because he would just kind of hear, if the audience is laughing and going, then all right, then, he let you keep going. So this dude is just tanking it. And so Ali took him off like after 5 minutes or something like that. And then Ali did some material, got them back, and then he introduced me, and got to go up there. But I loved it, man. That was just like, I mean, fucking talk about Thunderdome. I mean,
oh my God, of course.
Look at me walking in that place. I mean, fuck, but it was fantastic. But that's anyway, amazing. He's a great storyteller. He's really, really good. Yeah,
people are saying, I keep touching my new broadcast facility. It's a wobbly desk, but I did get the iPad stand, but my foot keeps hitting the wobbly desk, and that's why the camera's moving a little bit. But we're getting there, Judd.
Nice.
There.
I have confidence.
But anyway, someone just mentioned Eddie Murphy and how he was untouchable. I mean, what did he compare to Cosby? Eddie Murphy didn't do anything. I mean, it's funny though. Some of his old material doesn't really hold up
No,
in
yeah,
this new day and age, man. It's almost uncomfortable to hear some of his bits, to be completely honest with you, because we know how far we've come.
sure.
Uh, I don't know if it's all been for the best, to be honest with you, but he had a bit called the F word. I'm scared to even say it here today.
Oh, right, right.
And it was a famous bit when we were growing up, and really, for the time, really funny. But now people look at that, just see the title on his album, and they're of that track, and they're like, "Oh my God, there was a time this was acceptable," and I'm like, "Yeah, it was,"
Yeah, well,
because it was funny. But he
well,
did. The only thing he did, I guess, was he got caught with a tranny, right?
is that what it was?
I think so.
See, I don't even remember that.
I think so. I think that was the only thing with Eddie Murphy. That's a lot different than what Bill Cosby did.
Well, I think that kind of thing is encouraged nowadays, you know?
Yeah, yeah. You gotta embrace. You gotta
Oh,
you
you
gotta
were with the
embrace, right?
tranny? Come on up. All right.
I
Yeah.
mean, I can't think of a better way than to embrace people that are different than us, Judd.
There you go. Sure. Right. Come on
I
down.
I never got the attraction. I never got. There's a bunch of comedians that are into you know into the tranny thing, and I don't know if you're not even allowed to say tranny, so now I gotta like acknowledge that. I forgot. For real. I'm not trying to be a dick, but now that word, I remember Mark Norman told me, like, "Whoa, hey," and I'm like, "What happened?" And then I learned that day. Now that word's really bad. So I apologize, because I'm just trying to discuss this, and I remember when that word was acceptable, but now that word's not acceptable. It gets very confusing, Judd.
What do you have to say? A transgender person?
I think so.
That's what you have to say? Transgender person?
I think so. But a lot of comics that I knew, they were kind of into that. I never really understood the appeal.
Yeah, I missed that part in the comedy training. I didn't no. That never happened. That never came up that I'm aware of. I
Right?
mean, as a comedian, I almost wish it did. What a great story, huh?
Yeah. So I mean, whatever. Right? We
Yeah.
live in this day and age. Whatever floats your boat, as long as it's legal and you're not hurting anybody else
Yeah, but
in the process.
that's all long gone. You saw, or I don't know, did you mention you only got a mention only because of the name of the radio show, but that article that guy wrote about alt-right comedy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was absurd. I
I
mean,
didn't read the article, but that's where Ant likes to kind of live these days.
well, I suggest you read it because it's pretty absurd. And again,
Yeah.
they only mention, your name as part of the show. I mean,
Right.
they really focus on your former partner.
Right.
But I
Well,
mean,
good, because I had nothing to do with any of that
well,
stuff.
right. I mean,
I
shit,
mean,
dude. I mean, you could
that's
have
one
had
of my biggest complaints about the Opie and Anthony show. That the show we started and was successful doing, it was successful almost to the end, but not as successful. And that show started making a dramatic turn, and I wasn't all in with that shit. I wasn't all in. I wasn't all in making our show so political. We used to just kind of touch on that stuff, and then that's what the show became at the end. Anthony took complete control of the show, and it was a lot of right wing talking points, and I wasn't a fan of doing that type of radio, to be honest with you. So,
sure.
look, but that's what happens when you partner up with somebody. You're both going to change, and just like a relationship in life, whether you're married or have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, you hope you change together in a way where you could stay together. But in our
Sure.
case, we were changing, and Ant went that way, and I really didn't want to go for the ride.
Right.
So.
Well, I
I,
mean, what
I
what
mean,
I
he's
thought.
good at it. Obviously, he's good at it. He's had success with it, but it's not anything I really wanted to do.
Right. No,
So,
after reading that article, I thought it was just comical more than anything
yeah.
because it's more of a blanket statement. Like, yes, you can find comedians even
Yeah.
in New York who
Yeah.
might be considered more alt-right, but the list of comedians that this dude included was the most laughable thing ever.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you know, they're talking about people like Tim Dillon, you know, the fat gay guy who's hilarious, not alt-right. Like, I
Right.
mean, not even close. But you
Right.
know, but that was the kind of what I got from it. I was
Oh,
like,
okay. I gotcha.
but this dude is apparently known. The guy who wrote this is known as just. I mean, he's trying to be a provocateur or something because
Sure.
he's been going after comedians in New York for a while. And
Okay.
again, having done comedy in a lot of rooms in New York, you can't be an alt-right comic in New York City. I mean,
Right.
it's just not a thing.
You're not going to have success with that in general unless
No.
you're incredibly funny doing it. To be honest with you, to wrap that up, I'll probably check out the article now that you mentioned it. But I try to avoid all things Anthony. So
Sure.
I really try. I mean, I want to try to remember the old days fondly. I have a tough time doing that, and I try to avoid all that stuff. So,
well, I got another thing that comedy related in New York.
Yeah.
Did you see that the comedian Ted Alexandro said that Saturday Night Live stole his joke for their sketch?
Oh, 100%, and I completely believe him.
Oh, it's never mind. Believe him. Look at his bit and look
Right.
at the sketch.
Right.
I mean, it is so blatantly obvious. And see, here's the thing.
Let me set it up. So SNL did that Zillow bit, which was hilarious, and it went viral. And I still think Saturday Night Live is funny. You know, it's very easy to say, SNL's not funny anymore because they lean more to the left than the right, and that pisses off people. And that's the only reason a lot of people say SNL's not funny anymore.
Well, I say SNL's not funny because there's not jokes in it anymore. It's not funny regardless of what they're talking about politics. I mean, I find it hard to find a laugh in a lot of that stuff.
Oh, really?
Fair
enough. But the Zillow bit was beyond funny, and I certainly have done just that. We go on the Zillow and we check out these amazing houses and dream about living there and all that. And SNL just crushed it with this bit. And then it turns out that Ted Alexandro, it's his bit, like almost word for word, you're saying?
Yeah, that's why the sketch was funny.
Right.
Because a comedian wrote it.
Yeah.
That's why. Oh, yeah.
And now he's asking for $1 million, I hear.
Well, right. But I mean, that's kind of the point. Like, you know, hey, if you're just going to take my material, you got to pay, you know, at least some recognition. I mean, you know,
of course. Well,
something.
We live in a world as far as content goes where I don't know how it started, but it's completely acceptable to completely rip off others and throw it out there as their own. And it's really, really frustrating.
Well,
really it's happened to me on very much smaller levels, but I've had success with some viral videos over the years. Matter of fact, one of them I just sold to, I think it's called Deliciousness on MTV. One of my videos is going to be on there. Me and Kelly Lynn, who's a very funny comic, we used to go around New York and just fuck with people, and people were very confused whether the videos were real or not. And we set them up ahead of time, and we wrote these things out, and we had some very, very good success with it. And one of them is her eating a bacon sundae from Burger King, I think, and it went crazy viral back in the day. That, and she also did the McFarlane video, which went even more viral than the bacon sundae one. And anyway, long story short, so that thing went on my YouTube, did millions of views, and stupid Perez Hilton, one of my hardcore fans, he gets a hold of me. He goes, "Hey, Perez Hilton grabbed your video, put it on his Facebook page, got millions of views on this fucking thing, but he knew where he got it from. No mention to me, and certainly I could have used the help, right?
Right.
And the thing did stupid numbers, and I'm sure he monetized it and actually made a lot of money off my dumb video. So what did I do? I wrote him. No, it's not Ridiculousness. I knew people would say that. There's a new spinoff show called Deliciousness. Actually, I had a video on the same video was on Ridiculousness, by the way. But thank you, Scott Arsenal. Anyway, I reach out to the guy. I go, "Yo, what the fuck?" And I probably was a little mean, but I was also getting my point across. Like, this isn't right that you're just taking my video and throwing it out there on your Facebook page as yours.
I created this.
Know what he did? He fucking blocked me. That's how he dealt with it. That's how he dealt with it. But my point is, this is happening all over the place where people think it's completely acceptable to just take people's shit and redo it, whether it's on SNL or dumb shock jocks video or what have you. And I don't know where it started, and it's just not right. Because there's Ted Alexandro. I'm sure he could use the exposure and the money and one of his bits is being shown to millions of people on network TV, and he
Right.
gets nothing out of it.
Right. You know, you hear, you know, accusations about joke theft a lot of times, but like the thing with Ted is that, you know, if he was a comedian based out of St. Louis,
right,
and he had this joke about Zillow, and SNL did the sketch, you know, depending on, you know, what exactly the content was, if he were to say they stole my bit, people would be like, really? The SNL people know who you are in St. Louis and they stole your bit? But the thing with Ted, he is a regular at the Comedy Cellar.
right.
And you know who else is a regular at the Comedy Cellar? Writers from SNL.
Aye.
They perform every night there.
Yeah.
So it is, all arrows point to this. I mean,
Right.
you can't even, you know, there's no argument to it whatsoever.
No, it's not up to debate at all. Those guys have no shame, because I bet you if you work on SNL as a writer, I'm sure the pressure's on you to come up with fucking bits or you're gone. So in their head, they're like, fuck it. I'm just going to take this brilliant bit and present it at the table at SNL. That's wrong.
And I'm willing to bet, you know, because I've hung out at the Comedy Cellar a decent amount. I mean, I was never past there because, you know, shit, that's a whole different level of comedian who gets past at the Comedy Cellar.
Yeah.
But, you know, I was on some produced shows there, and I would hang out there sometimes with our buddy Vic Henley. And I actually saw Ted do that bit, you know, one night at the Cellar. I'm willing to bet, because of the people who work on SNL, some, you know, people who are stand-up comics, others are, you know, well, I guess they all try to be stand-up comedians, but the ones who are specifically writers, I'm willing to bet there's plenty of people who know exactly who the writer was who took it.
Oh, well, then they should call him out, man.
But see, then that becomes a whole, well, talk to our friend Tammy Pescatelli about doing that.
Of course. I'm going to have her on, I think, really soon. I think Monday or Tuesday. Maybe you come back and do another set with me and Tammy.
Nice. I love
because
Tammy. She's fantastic.
Amy Schumer stole her shit, and just kind of like sort of similar, like Perez Hilton just saying fuck you and blocking me instead of dealing with it.
Yeah.
So she does the right thing and basically jumps on the Amy Schumer steals comics jokes bandwagon. And because Amy Schumer is more powerful and has a huge publicist, it ruined Tammy's career for a while. Just for her speaking honestly about like, yo, hey, I'm not shopping around on the Upper West Side for a fucking mansion. I'm trying to make ends meet here in Pittsburgh with my son. I'm the provider in this household, and I certainly could use the help. So she does the right thing, and she tells the world, like, yeah, man, I've been ripped off by her as well. And what ends up happening to her, she gets fucked for bringing it up.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, who else was Schumer accused of stealing jokes from? Patrice O'Neill.
Right.
You know, so, I mean, it wasn't just Tammy. I mean, it was, there was accusations, you know, multiple accusations.
Oh, no, there's a lot. Hey, I got another person that wants to join the live stream, and I've been wanting to get you guys together.
All right.
It's Billy Tortori. He produced Brother Weeze's show for a long, long time up there in Rochester. He's the guy that really knows about the Last Waltz as well. He did this recently. I threw it into a podcast, the Opie Radio podcast, by the way. And then he wrote me. He's like, man, there are a few things I wanted to say. I forgot. So I'm like, fuck, just come back on. You know, this is casual and easy. So let's say hi to Billy Tortori. Add him to the live stream as my dog is barking. What's up, Billy?
Hey, Opie. Hey, Judd.
Billy, how are you today?
Good. I like you a lot on Opie's podcast.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I enjoyed y'all's episode too. I listened to started talking a little bit about the Last Waltz, man. Yeah, that's right up my alley.
I love that stuff. I've got a couple documentaries, Ope, I wanted you to check out, and I forgot. I panicked the other day when you asked me.
Yeah.
I know you. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, you came up with March of the Penguins, though. So
screw me. I was so pissed afterwards. My self-esteem is so low. I should be a stand-up comedian.
Hey, you combed your hair at least this morning.
Yeah, I did. I remembered it was video now. So
right.
All set. Actually, a couple things. I sent you that link. Did you want to talk about that?
Oh, sure. I'll talk about anything, man. Anything.
I mean, when I was on Weeze's show, one of my favorite segments was a time where you were feuding with Andrew Dice Clay.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, have you ever talked to Dice since? Because on Weeze's show, Weeze was supposed to interview Andrew Dice Clay, and you guys were feuding. So let me get myself a camera there. So we got you guys on the phone, you and Anthony on the phone,
Right.
and had you waiting while Weeze talked to Dice.
Yeah.
And once we got Dice on, Weeze stuck up for you, asked how come Dice wouldn't talk to you anymore, and then put you on.
Right.
Have you talked to Dice since?
Oh man, there's a lot there. So I listened to the clip this morning, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of the old O&A stuff I kind of forgot about. And then I listened to that clip you sent me, and I went, oh my God. Then I completely remembered, obviously. But the short story with Dice, just to bring everyone up to speed. So we're doing this massive radio show in New York, Opie and Anthony on WNEW, and then we got syndicated after that. And Anthony did a very good impression of Andrew Dice Clay. And somebody was just driving in Jersey one day listening to the Opie and Anthony show, and that would be Club Soda Kenny before we knew who he was. And Club Soda Kenny was Andrew Dice Clay's right-hand man, security, and all that, right? So Club Soda Kenny calls Dice and says, this guy on NEW, this Opie and Dopey show, or, whatever, they always got the name of the show wrong. He does a great impression of you. So he plays it for Andrew Dice Clay, and he's like, oh, my God. So Dice calls in. And long story short, we became really, really close, like really close. And then when I got fired, I went out to L.A. and I hung out with Dice as he was going through a divorce, living in a tiny, tiny little apartment. We're sitting there going through tapes because he was filming everything back then, and we're eating candy out of these giant candy jars. He was like a kid. And then we went to Gold's Gym and worked out, and then we went to the supermarket to pick up some stuff, and then he cooked dinner for me. We were close, man. Fast forward. Before that, before we got fired. So he was making a comeback. It's not the Dice we all know and love today. He was huge. Then he was a nobody, and then he has had an incredible comeback. And part of that incredible comeback was me and Anthony's help. And he was trying to sell out Madison Square Garden again. And he had dates at the Beacon Theater, like 2 or 3 nights in a row. And he sold those out. But our show was so huge. He's like, I think I could still sell out Madison Square Garden, even though I just played the Beacon Theater, whatever it was, a week or 2 weeks earlier. And we're like, all right, go for it. So what was happening, the Mets and the Yankees were in the World Series. It was game fucking 5. That's the same day that Dice was playing the Garden. Did he sell out the Garden? No. But with our help, and he admitted it at the time, he sold well over 10,000 tickets thanks to the success of the Opie and Anthony show. We were fucking massive. And then somewhere in there, we knew what we did for him. He started kind of crediting Mancow as well for helping him sell out Madison Square Garden in New York. Mancow doesn't have any heat in New York. And that really fucking pissed me off. So we went at it live on the radio at WNEW. And the biggest mistake I made, and I have to, agree with Dice on this one, it got really ugly and his kids were in studio. And so in a way, I think I embarrassed him in front of his kids. And that really fucking pissed him off. And I get that part of it. So then fast forward, Dice is on Weeze's show. And that's where we pick up the story. Because at that point, there was bad blood between Dice and me and Anthony, probably more me than Anthony. And Weeze famously stuck up for me. And Weeze hates doing that type of radio. Hates it. So Weeze has Dice on the phone, and Dice is telling this bullshit story, and I'm just screaming in the background. You could hear it on the clip you sent me. I'm
Put
like,
me
"Get
on!
me
Put me
on!" I'm screaming. And then Weeze goes, "Hey, I got Opie on the line." I go, "Dice, what the hell's going on here? Whatever." And all of a sudden, Dice just hung up on me. And then fast forward, we get at that point, we're on satellite radio after sitting out the 2.5 years. And he did end up coming back on the satellite radio show, and I said sorry, and we talked it out. And to be honest with you, it never was the same. He did the satellite radio show a few times, and then he was on a rocket ship, getting more and more famous. And then we couldn't really get him on the show anymore. And then he's another guy that I could have used to help with the podcast early on, and I reached out to him, and not even a call back, nothing. So I hope that wasn't too long-winded, but that's pretty much the whole story, Billy.
Okay, cool. And actually, I've got a podcast I think you would be a great guest on, and Judd would be a great guest on.
Yeah.
Do you know a comedian named Josh Adam Myers?
No. Do you, Judd?
No, I don't. Doesn't sound familiar.
He's got a podcast called The 500, and he goes through Rolling Stone's list of 500 greatest albums, the list that was put out in 2012. And every week, it's a different album. He gets a comedian friend on, or an athlete, or an author, or someone famous, or sometimes just like a comedian friend that you had never heard of. And they do a cut-by-cut breakdown of that week's album.
Nice.
And I think you guys would both be fantastic on it. So, Matt Pinfield is like the producer or music coordinator for that show. So,
well, I'm supposed to
want to
Matt
ask him about it.
I'm supposed to get Matt on this thing, but he's living on the West Coast somewhere. So I'm going to probably do a special afternoon live stream so I could get him on this thing. But we've been, reaching out to each other. We'll get that done soon. I love Matt Pinfield. He's awesome. You
guys would both be great on that show.
I want to talk to him about stupid Britney Spears. Anyone else see that documentary?
No, I didn't see it.
The free Britney Spears bullshit.
Mm-mm.
I think she's batshit crazy, and that's why I think they're still controlling her money. And there's a movement to try to free Britney Spears, and she's capable of handling her own money and career. And I think there's stuff that went down that is sealed, and that is why this continues to this day, where she's more or less in prison with her family controlling her career and her money. Everyone else thinks that it's bullshit and they got to free Britney, but I'm like, man, something doesn't smell right here. We don't know the whole story.
Britney doesn't need to be free. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think she needs to be right where she is. I think it's not popular because there's a hashtag and everything. And I watched the documentary and I felt bad for her because something did go wrong with her, man. I don't know, something dramatic went wrong with this this girl, this woman, and they hang out outside the courthouses, the Free Britney movement, with their posters and whatnot. And I'm like, what is going on in that courtroom? What do they know that they're keeping this in place? Because you got the courts involved. Not that I trust the courts fully, but you guys didn't see the documentary, so it's hard to talk about this.
But I mean, look, dude, Britney Spears was a child when she became globally famous.
Right.
So, I mean, I can't imagine what that's like. And if you've even got a little bit of a disconnect mentally, I'm sure that just drives it home. You know, I mean, my God, like wasn't her first album cover was almost like I felt like a predator looking at it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, she was like a child. So,
yeah.
It was just like, whoa. But yeah, she was young when she got famous, man.
Well, she was wearing that schoolgirl outfit, walking down the hallway. I remember that video like it was yesterday with the pigtails. It was
It was like, fuck.
I don't think we could do that today.
Yeah.
But somewhere she went a little nutso. She shaved her head. They say that after she had her kids, she had some issues. And there was a famous video of her driving with a newborn on her lap. And I looked at that like, that's no big deal. I come from a time we had no car safety. So to me, I was like, oh, I'm good with that. But you got to realize everything changed. And you just can't have your basic newborn on your lap as you're driving down the highway.
Sure. Unless you have a cigarette in your mouth.
Unless you have the cigarette in your mouth.
Then I think you can. I think it's legal then.
Right. Rachel says, I think her family milked and drugged her like a cow. Then she became an adult and the money wasn't flowing anymore. Then her dad stepped in and said, nah.
Good theory. Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot going on there. I don't think she actually had a real father. I think she has real trauma from her childhood. And then having those kids, what is it called? The postpartum.
Yeah,
some of that postpartum action. And then she never got over Justin Timberlake breaking up with her. This was all the tough documentary.
Right.
It's actually a really good documentary if you want to check it out.
I remember when I was living in Austin, I went to a Willie Nelson concert, go crazy, at the Backyard in Austin.
Yeah.
And he brought up, I guess because they're friends, Britney Spears' dad on stage.
Oh my God.
Like to say hello or something like that. And I was like, the father of the superstar celebrity. Like, what the fuck is he doing? And then you see him milling around like he's the celebrity. You know, people are coming up taking pictures with him and shit. So I always thought that was kind of weird.
Of course, he didn't give a fuck about that family until she became famous, and then he popped back into the picture. So, so that's part of it, obviously, certainly. But I think there's some crazy stuff in there as well that makes this pretty obvious that everything should stay exactly how it is. And then supposedly she gives, secret messages to her Instagram. It's fascinating, actually. I'm telling you, even if you're not a Britney Spears fan, it's a very interesting documentary.
No, I'm gonna check it out. Yeah, I've heard a lot about it. Yeah.
Hey, so I got both of you on. Now you got to give me a little last waltz action, Judd. Billy gave me some the other day.
Well, I think Billy, you mentioned that for Muddy Waters that they had only one camera. Yeah, I remember reading something about it where they checked the schedule or the order or something changed for the shoot, and they were in the process of changing out the cameras or something like that. And then Muddy Waters just comes on and starts playing, and there was only one camera available to film. And Scorsese apparently was yelling at all these other people with who had their cameras, and they were like Academy Award-winning people that he had working on this, and he's screaming at them to turn their cameras on. And so that apparently is why there was only that one shot till the very end, and then somebody turned their camera on, and then that was it. But oddly enough, for that song at that concert, the one camera angle was perfect.
It was perfect.
It was perfect. That side angle, and you see the other members of the band on stage, and you just see Muddy Waters there, just like the front of that stage, commanding it, all the confidence in the world, and just killing it, man. Such a good performance. But I like, what was it that Ronnie Hawkins, that one part when they were talking about when Ronnie Hawkins was trying to get Robbie Robertson to come on with him. Yep. And Robertson says, well, joining this band, what does it mean? And he says, well, he said, what does he say? He goes, oh, it's not much money, but you'll get more pussy than Frank Sinatra.
What a great line.
Great line. Yeah.
What do you know about the Coke Booger, the Neil Young famous Coke Booger?
I think they spent like millions digitally, frame by frame, taking it out of the movie.
Yeah. And they didn't have that technology down, so you can kind of still see it. But the story goes, Neil Young went on stage for his performance with a giant Coke Booger that is was very visible. And after the shoot, his people looked at the footage and said, you can't use Neil Young, man. There's no way. This is really bad for his image and blah, blah, blah. And then they had some technology back then. And frame by frame, they were trying to erase the Coke Booger out of Neil Young's nose so they could keep that performance in the movie, The Last Waltz.
They did a terrible job.
Yeah, I think so.
Because it's very prominent.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love that documentary. I mean, so many things about it.
I mean, the fact that Dylan didn't decide until 15 minutes before he went on that he would go on.
Right.
Oh, shit. Wow.
Yeah. He showed up and wouldn't go on then like 15 minutes. Okay, I'll do it.
Right. When you talk about like hipsters and rock stars and people that are just cool, Bob Dylan made everyone look ridiculous in that movie. He walks out on that stage and you can see that he's the true definition of cool and, quote, what these hipsters are trying to accomplish. And he was the type of guy, I don't think he had to try to be that. He was just that. And that's the difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I mean, that version of Forever Young, I mean, it's iconic.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think time frame wise, like I think Dylan was kind of in a dip at that point.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then,
he was.
Yeah. And then that, I think, I mean, that performance, I mean, I don't know how popular the movie was at that time.
Right.
But to me, it seems like that's the turning point to where he kind of ascended again.
Well, doesn't he contribute the band bringing his career back? Because the band was his backup.
Right.
Band,
right.
Yeah.
They were the band when he got booed at the folk festival.
Newport?
Yeah. And also Royal Albert Hall. And then, he went electric, got booed, then became huge again.
Right.
And in the 70s, he wound up touring they reunited, did a tour together. That's the Before the Flood album. That's fantastic.
You know what's funny? We say it casually now, but he had the balls back in the day to say this folk thing needs electric, and he plugged in, and people just their minds were blown. Like, why would you do this? Now it completely makes sense as we look back at that. But he had the balls to at least give it a shot and move music forward, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. And then, I mean, if we're talking to The Last Waltz, my favorite is Van Morrison's high kicks.
Oh God, yeah.
Pants. I mean, he was trying to own those high kicks, and he looked completely ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Well, says you. I think it's called commitment.
Well, then the fact that he just walked off the stage at the end of the song, and Robbie Robertson's looking around him. Van the Man.
He just walks
he walked off stage like that because his balls hurt. He realized his balls can't move like that. And he had to get those pants off and let everything breathe.
There's so many like little things that I think about in that movie. When Morrison walked off stage after all the high kicks, he walks off stage and he's just kind of casually walking off to the music. And at the last minute, as he's getting ready to walk off the in front of the camera, he's just kind of walking, and the music hits again, and he goes, just kind of as he walks off. I mean, it's just the greatest thing. So good.
There's times I'll just, for the hell of it, there's nothing going on in my house, and I'll just find those high kicks on YouTube, and I just play the high kick part over and over again, and me and my wife just laugh our asses off. Yeah. It's an amazing piece of film. So, and then of course, me and Billy talked about Levon Helms, and once again, every time we mention this documentary, I'm going to say it again: greatest vocal performance I've ever seen on film or in person.
Oh,
the night they drove Old Dixie down. It's unbelievable.
You just reminded me. In that scene, the big stage setting, it looks like Gone with the Wind.
Sure. Right.
Yeah, that's actually because they borrowed the stage setting for a local production of Gone with the Wind from a theater down the street.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh, like the chandeliers and all that?
Yeah, and all the curtains and stuff.
Oh, wow.
It came from a Gone with the Wind production.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Man, that's so cool. That whole setup, especially the night they drove Old Dixie down. I mean, the way that was shot and all the musicians and all the horns behind him and everything. I mean, first of all, I've always been amazed at a drummer who's a singer. Yeah. Like, to me, that just blows my mind. Yeah. But the effort that he had into that, I mean, it's just like, it's second to none. It's almost chilling to see that. I mean, he hit every note and just sang every note just to the 10th degree. I mean, It was just amazing. That song, that's my favorite. That's my favorite one. I think that was the song, oddly enough, about the South, that Robbie Robertson wrote as a lullaby for his daughter.
Okay.
That's where the song came from. He wrote it as a lullaby, which is about the South and Confederacy and all that, which I thought was kind of weird, but
Oh, it's another song we got to cancel, obviously. We got to cancel that song out now.
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, hell no. Yeah, I hope that they might cancel the whole movie, because there's that one scene where they're sitting and behind them is a Confederate flag on the wall.
Yeah. Well, they're going to have to digitally take that out for the next generation.
Leave the coat, booger. Take out the Confederate flag.
Yeah.
The other day you were talking about how weird Martin Scorsese is. Now, I heard that, that interview with Garth Hudson, where Garth just seems like out of it. It's because I think he showed up at Garth Hudson's house, or maybe it was Richard Manuel, at 6 a.m. unannounced to do the interviews.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he was just kind of asleep.
Oh, my God. Hey, I want to finish up with this. Did you hear the Phil Collins, George Harrison story? Speaking of drummers, when you were talking about drummers singing and stuff, I went right to Phil Collins, and it reminded me of this George Harrison story. So George Harrison was doing his first solo album after the Beatles, and he was getting a whole bunch of session players. And Phil Collins was a young drummer, and somehow he got to play on, I don't know all the songs off that album. Shit. It doesn't matter, I guess. It wasn't one of the big ones, I don't think. And Phil Collins played his ass off and played the bongos or the congas or whatever, one of those percussions that George Harrison needed on this particular song. So it's Phil Collins before we know who he is. He's 18 years old. And long story short, they didn't use his take. They decided they didn't need the bongo. Let's say bongos. They didn't need the bongos on that particular song, and they did it a different way. And the album came out, and Phil Collins was kind of bummed. He's just a kid going, God, that was my chance to be on an ex-Beatles record, right? Fast forward, Phil Collins becomes fucking famous. And he asked George Harrison whatever happened to that track, because he wanted to know the story now that he could actually talk to George Harrison because he's famous as well. George Harrison sends him his take, and it's bongo playing really, really bad. And George Harrison goes, well, this is why we didn't use it. And Phil's like, oh, geez, obviously, I wasn't ready for the big time, And George Harrison led Phil Collins on thinking that, it was so bad, and that's why they didn't use him on that particular song. Fast forward, he lets him sit there in that uncomfortable feeling for a while, and then calls him back and says, it was an elaborate prank, a long story short. He had one of his guys go in studio and make believe he was Phil Collins and sent it to Phil, basically saying, this is why I didn't use you that day when you were 18
suck.
I think that went down right before George Harrison died. I believe that all came out, that story. But oh my God, it made me laugh. I think it's in Phil Collins's book. That was really a really good autobiography that came out a few years back.
Wow.
So. All right, listen, I got to go. I got to get these kids to school, man.
Okay. Opie, watch Let's Play 2, Pearl Jam.
Oh, I've seen that. It's amazing.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah,
that was one I wanted to make sure you saw.
100%. That's another great documentary.
Great baseball documentary, great music.
Yeah, right on. Yeah. Judd, you got anything?
Documentary-wise?
Or anything. We're wrapping up.
We're wrapping up?
And you didn't show the Golden Girls mug. What's wrong with you?
I told you. I usually have some left over, some Jack left over at night, and it's in the refrigerator for today. So
all right.
That's the thing. Yeah.
So the streamers aren't going to get to see the glass today, unfortunately. That's okay. Tease it for the next time you're on.
There you go. Come back next time to see the Golden Girls glass. Right.
All right. Let's start our weekends. If you good, Judd?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
All right, Billy, you good?
I'm good, Opie. Thank you.
And thank you for showing the wiffle ball microphone, because people were really bummed they didn't get to see it at first, and then you popped it up, and they're like, "There it is!
There it is!"
That is impressive.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much to Judd Jones and Billy DeTore, who produced Brother Weeze's show forever. Weeze is sounding great again, Billy. What the?
Good. Yeah.
Oh, you had a cat walk by you in the background.
Did I?
Now I'm triggered.
Oh.
I hate cats, and Billy loves cats.
Oh, we got 6 of them.
I know.
6 cats.
How many of them attack you in the middle of the night like you're a stranger? And be honest.
That one likes to walk. That's why I get up so early. There's times where I'm up at 4 a.m. feeding cats. Then I have to go back to bed. That's why sometimes I don't.
Yeah, well, you got 6 cats. It's a fucking farm over there, man. Yeah. Wow.
I had 2. One was awesome, and then I actually loved this particular cat, a calico, I think they're called. They look like baby owls when they're kittens. And then the other one was a complete nightmare, and they got declawed and everything. So they can't survive outside. So they need me. I'm feeding this damn cat for years, and then out of nowhere it attacks me like it doesn't know who I am. I'm like, who do you think's feeding you every day? At least have some awareness.
Yeah, they're evil. I've got for the next time, Opie. I've got a cat story for you next time.
All right, Leah. Let's tease the cat story and the Golden Girls glass for next time, please. You can't give them everything there, Judd.
There you go. Right.
All right. And Billy, we're going to talk about cats more next time you're on.
Awesome.
I want you to defend being a cat owner.
Okay.
I can do that. Defend that.
I can do that.
Don't die in your house alone, because they'll eat you. You know that.
Yeah, and that's fine. I got nothing to do with it. Once I'm dead, fine. Throw me in the woods. I don't care.
but you would think they would have some loyalty and try to find some other food. These old ladies with the cats, they're dead for an hour. The cats are already nibbling. They didn't even try to find other food.
Cats don't have thumbs. They can't open the food.
All right. We'll leave you with that. They don't have thumbs. All right, guys, have a great weekend. And for all the people that sent me stars and stuff to keep the live streaming going, thank you very much. And maybe over the weekend. If not, definitely Monday morning. Judd Jones, Billy DeTore. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, take it easy.